Hello, my fellow chatterers and book lovers, and anyone else who's popped in because you're curious or you're lost. Welcome anyway. I'm Chatty and welcome to my channel Chatty the Mad Chatter, where I will be chatting away madly about my August stats. So I like to reflect on everything that I read in August, thinking about how much that was in terms of book sizes, what authors I've been reading, what genres, all the things like that, and hopefully picking a favourite book. I also look at whether or not I have completed my TBR from my book game, and that determines whether or not I get a reward or a punishment. So, first of all, let's drink my mini tea because we're rolling. It's continuous rolling, there is no editing, it's just one shot only, so cheers. If you want to know what my August TBR book game was, I will leave a link somewhere here or maybe here. I still can never remember which side it goes. So you can check that out if you want to. So the books that were on my TBR are Onyeka and the Academy of the Sun, Get a Life Chloe Brown, Pages and Co. Tilly and the Book Wanderers, The Last Dog on Earth, which was the book chosen by Mason because I got the one ring, so he had the power to choose, The Ally of Law, and The Girl with the Louding Voice. So normally I would have had to have read all 6 in order to get a reward, and if I didn't do that I would get a punishment. But for my TBR game in August, I chose to put in my May reward and my June punishment. So in May I completed them and in June I didn't, so I got a reward and punishment. So the reward for May was chosen by Kristen, who I chat to on the Shelf Space Discord. And I had to, well no, my reward was that I didn't have to read that number of books. So I could read 4 instead of 6 and I would still win. So I put that one into play. So I only need to have read 4 of these books for me to get a reward this month. I also had to use my June punishment, and that was to read an intimidating book. I did a little video about intimidating books and got you all to vote from which one I should read. And you chose The Opposite of Butterfly Hunting. And this is a book by Ivana Lynch. It's a memoir and it was intimidating to me because it deals with anorexia and mental health, and I thought it would probably make me cry. So I added this into the pile too. So let's put that in here. Budget books. There's another one coming in. So I added this as I had to read this intimidating book plus 4 of these to claim a reward. So let's see if I completed it or not. The Opposite of Butterfly Hunting by Ivana Lynch. I read that one. Onyeka and the Academy of the Sun by Tolu Okugu. I read that one. Get a Life Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbett. I read that one. Pages and Co. Tilly and the Book Wanderers by Anna James. I didn't read that one. Sorry Tilly, it didn't happen this month, so that was not read. The Last Dog on Earth by Adrian J. Walker. I read that one, and that was one of the ones I had to read because it was a one-ring book. The Ally of Law by Brandon Sanderson. I didn't read that one. So that's 2 I didn't read. The Girl with the Louding Voice by Abby DeRay. I read that one. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4 plus the intimidating read, which means I did it and I get a reward. So sorry, Pages and Co. and Ally of Law, didn't get to them this month, but I still really want to read them and hopefully we'll pick them up soon. So before I load up with, because I did go rogue and read some other books, I had various different things. I had readathons, I had buddy reads, so I've got other bits and pieces to add in. But the paper's not making a noise, but imagine rustling paper in here. I get to pick a reward out of this lovely fairy loot bag. Happy reading. So I have 5 rewards in here. One I have removed though. No, so there were 6. I had 6 rewards left to choose from. One I did remove, and that was from Diksha. It's a brilliant reward. Buy yourself a book, but I'm on a book buying ban, so that would be counterproductive. So I'm not adding. I will add that one in again later. So for now, it's not in there. So let's see what I have, and I really hope that I can fit it in to like part of my book game for October. Oh, this looks fun. So it says, replace any prompt with a mood read at any time during the month. And that is from Lucia on the Shelf Space Discord, and also Jess from the same Discord, and she also has a channel called Me, Myself and I. Has been a bit quiet recently, but it's a fabulous channel. I definitely recommend checking it out. She is the queen of memes. So that is a fantastic prompt. I really like that, Lucia and Jess. Thank you. So I'm not sure how I'm going to kind of incorporate it into the book game. I don't know if as I play the game, I suddenly decide that actually I don't like that prompt, so I'm going to change it from mood read and just not do it. Or if I choose on my books, then at any point I could decide I'm not going to read that book and I'm going to swap it for a mood read. I'll see how I feel. I will ponder this and I will let you know. So yeah, that will happen in October and that will be on there. So this was fun and I get a reward. So I'm very happy about that. But I did also read some other books like I mentioned. So I'm just going to add them in. Okay, we have The Ship of Destiny by Robin Hobb, which is a beast of a book. We have The Long Way Down by Becky Chambers. We have Only a Monster by Vanessa Len. And Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds. I had to take it back to the library, but these are just placeholders so you can get a visual idea of what I've been reading. One is the novel in verse and one is the graphic novel. And then hopefully there's not going to be any chaotic book falling down. So that is 10 books overall. And the first thing I'm going to look at is the age range of these books. So I have read one middle grade, which is Onyeka and the Academy of the Sun. 3 YAs, which was Long Way Down, the novel in verse, Long Way Down, the graphic novel by Jason Reynolds, and Only a Monster by Vanessa Len. I have then read 6 adult books, so that's The Opposite of Butterfly Hunting, Get Alive, Chloe Brown, The Last Dog on Earth, The Girl with the Louding Voice, The Ship of Destiny, I think I might have called it Magic earlier, it's The Ship of Destiny, it's the 3rd one, and Long Way Down by Becky Chambers. So it's a good mix. Again, wasn't a huge amount of middle grade that I read this month, but I've had a mix of all ages, so that's pretty good. So I'm now going to talk about the sizes. So I like to link the size of the book to animals because I find it fun. So a mouse size book is a book that is 151 to 300 pages. And I read 3 mice this month. We have the graphic novel and the novel in verse, Long Way Down, and we have Onyeka and the Academy of the Sun. With novels in verse and graphic novels, unless they're really, really long, I'm always going to put them as mouse size just because they're so much quicker to read than other books. I am then changing things a tad. So I usually do cow size, which was 301 to 500 pages. But there is a big difference from, say, like a book that's about 350 and then like a book that's like 470. Like there is a big difference in those 2 books. So much so that I feel that the cow size doesn't kind of truly reflect that. I feel it's too wide, so I have now changed it. I've added in a goat. So I now have a goat, which is 301 to 400 pages. And I read 4 goats this month. Here we go. Here's my goats, which don't all want to come with me. There we are. So we have awkward books. There they are. We have The Girl with the Louding Voice. We have Only a Monster. We have Get Alive, Chloe Brown, and The Last Dog on Earth. These are all goats. And then cow is now 401 pages to 500. And I read 2 cows. And that is The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet and The Opposite of Butterfly Hunting. And so if we look at my smallest goat to my biggest cow, these are very different book sizes, which is why I really felt they needed to be changed up. I think by the time you get to the next category, which is the elephant, 500 to 700 pages. So 501 to 700 pages. It doesn't feel like such a big. It's already big by that point. We know it's a big book. It doesn't seem to matter to me the same way that the cow was bothering me. I didn't read any elephants this month, so no elephants this month. But I did read a whale. So here we go. The Ship of Destiny is massive. It's a whale, which is 701 to 900 pages. So 1 whale, 2 cows, 4 goats and 3 mice. So genres are quite exciting this month. I read quite a range. Usually it's mainly fantasy with maybe a couple of others thrown in, and it's usually tends to be fantasy and contemporary tend to be the ones I read the most from. So this month I read 3 contemporary, so that's Long Way Down, graphic novel and novel in verse, and The Girl with the Louding Voice. I then read 1 romance, which is exciting. I don't often read them, and I really enjoyed it. It could also be kind of come under contemporary, so it's a contemporary romance if you want its full categorization. But for the sake of this, we're just going with a romance. So 3 contemporary, 1 romance, 1 dystopia, also exciting. Haven't read a lot of dystopia recently, and also really enjoy that too. Should read more. And continuing with the excitement, 1 sci-fi. Again, don't read a huge amount of sci-fi. Really like to. Excellent, I got 1 this month. And now I can't put it back on the shelf. Come on, work with me. And we have 1 memoir. I've just realised I didn't tell you what the sci-fi was. Did I tell you what the others were? Let's recap just in case, because I'm not stopping. Let's just recap. Okay, 3 contemporaries. I definitely told you what they were. 1 romance, that's Get a Life with Chloe Brown. 1 dystopia, that is The Last Dog on Earth. 1 sci-fi, that's The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. Okay, 1 memoir, The Opposite of Butterfly Hunting. Again, I don't read a huge amount of memoirs, and I don't think it is going to be something that I'm going to continue to read a lot of, but I do enjoy the random moments when I do pick one up, like this one. And of course, back to normal territory now, and I read 3 fantasy books. So we have Onyeka and the Academy of the Sun, Only a Monster and the Ship of Destiny, which are quite fun. We have a middle grade, a YA and an adult. So there are the genres. In terms of format, I have read 7 novels. That's The Girl with the Louding Voice, Get a Life, Chloe Brown, Long Way to a Small Angry Planet, Opposite of Butterfly Hunting, Onyeka and the Academy of the Sun, Only a Monster and Ship of Destiny. And then I have read 1 graphic novel and 1 novel in verse, both being Long Way Down. And although I did read Last Dog on Earth, I read some of it physically. I read the whole thing mainly on audiobook, so I would definitely count this one more as the audiobook. So that's 1 audio, 1 graphic novel, 1 novel in verse, and 7 novels. Again, that's quite a variety for me. It does usually just tend to be like novels, sometimes a novella. So that's fun. So now looking at where they came from, and 8 of the books were mine. They belong to me, live in my house. 2 of them, which is Long Way Down, come from the library, which is why I've already said don't have them because I had to go back. But I definitely want to own them. I really, really love Long Way Down, and I want both versions. So that's on my wish list. And this month I read 9 new books to me. I suppose kind of 8.5. I have already read Long Way Down, so I knew the story, but I'd never read the graphic novel before. So Long Way Down was a reread, and the rest were new reads. So looking at the authors that I'm reading, sadly no non-binary authors or trans authors this month, and I do seem to be reading predominantly female. So I have 7 books that were written by female authors. So we have Abby DeRay, Talia Hibbert, Becky Chambers, Ivana Lynch, Tolo Okogwu, Vanessa Len and Robin Hobb. And then I had 2 male authors, but that's 3 books because Jason Reynolds wrote both of them. So that's Jason Reynolds and Adrian J. Walker. So now looking at seeing what representation I am seeing in the books, I have coined the phrase from Loud Black Girls Global Majority, which I'm using instead of BIPOC, which is Black, Indigenous and People of Colour. So I have read 4 books this month, which are by white, Western-based authors. And I have 6 books, which are the global majority. So I have Jason Reynolds' Long Way Down, graphic and novel in verse, Abby DeRay's The Girl with the Louding Voice, Talia Hibbert's Get a Life, Chloe Brown, Tolu Okuguru's Onyeka and the Academy of the Sun, and Vanessa Len's Only a Monster. And even if we took out one of the versions of Long Way Down, that would still give me 5 books by global majority and 4 by other. So this is the first time I have had a higher percentage of global majority authors, which I am so delighted about, because last month was pretty bad. So I'm really pleased because it's starting to reflect that we are having a mixture of books available from a variety of authors. Admittedly, I am someone that kind of goes out of their way looking for like great recommendations, so I am delving deeper into the bookverse rather than, you know, going into my local bookshop that has a small selection, or buying books from supermarkets where there is a small, more limited selection. So I am aware of that, which is why I just think books should be so important, because it encourages us to actively seek out the best books written by so many different people, rather than the bestsellers and ones that publishers think are going to make the most money and want to push on us. So I'm very happy with that. Now comes the really hard part, because I now need to choose my least favourite and my favourite, which is really tricky, but it's fabulous because I really loved all of the books I read this month. It was a great reading month. I'm not going to count Long Way Down because that is a reread, so I'm only going to look at the new reads for this. And they are all so very different and gave me joy in so many different ways. But I think the one that I didn't love quite as much as I loved the others is going to be Only a Monster. And I think this is just because I didn't have an emotional connection in this one the same way I did in the other books. I think I cared about the characters more in the other books and kind of like some of the topics that they were dealing with. This one I enjoyed much more kind of the world building and the plot and being along for the ride in this book. So I think that's why I'm putting it as my least favourite. But I still really enjoyed it and thought it was a really fun book to read. So it's not the book's fault or anything. I'm just trying to differentiate between all of the books and be more reflective. I think it's a good thing for me to try. And my favourite. And I think it's hard because I think this is never... You can judge books by so many different ways. I think this is why I have a really tricky time rating books, and I don't on my channel give you my star ratings for things, because I think we very much limit ourselves by like 5 stars. I know people do half stars and things like that, but it always very much feels like if anything's like as a 3-star, people just think it's like fine, okay, and like no one would kind of read past it. Like most of the stuff I'm reading is stuff I really like. It's very rare that I don't find something to enjoy in what I'm reading. I mean, last month was a different exception. But I think sometimes, as much as like I can be like not here for the book or not enjoy certain things, I think you then have other stuff that is really good about the book. Like you think it's written really well, it just the story wasn't for you. So I find the ratings very hard. So I very much enjoyed everything I read. I read a lot of different things this month. But if I want to talk about things that were my absolute favourites, fantasy is my favourite genre. So it is always going to, on the whole, it's going to be fantasy that is going to be my favourites. Like most specifically from doing this, I really know that my favourite type of fantasy is like high epic fantasy, just because I love the intricacies in the plotting and the world building and the emotional stakes the characters are on. And I also really love middle grade whimsical fantasy, just because again I love the warmth it gives me, and like children as characters, they just feel a lot more wholesome and kind of a lot more, I don't know, they kind of go, they haven't got extra complications that you have. And don't get me wrong, I really love that in the adults. I kind of love sometimes where it gets a bit messy, but also just a straightforward, just like being a kind and good person in the heart of a children's, in the heart of like a middle grade book. And also the real fun world you can kind of get into in there. Those are my favourites. So saying that, you've probably already guessed my favourites. Onyeka and the Academy of the Sun and Ship of Destiny were my favourite books this month. I just loved them. I had the best reading time with them. I mean, this was an absolute delight. It was wonderful to be in this world. I adored the characters. I enjoyed the story that was being told in here, and I cannot wait to pick up the second book. Robin Hobb, I think, absolutely deserves her like legendary fantasy writer status and needs more kind of like renowned in general for that. Just this was written over 20 years ago, and it's just incredible, just the way the world's been crafted, how it's pulled together, and just the absolute emotional connection you get to these characters. I'm going to try not to talk too much because I already spent 40 minutes in my August wrap up talking about this and everything I needed to say. The emotional journey you go on with Hobb is like nothing else. You definitely need like counselling after her books. And I think I'm just got to the point where I think I'm okay now. I think I am now actually like okay and like can move on with my reading. But maybe only just. But I love. So pleased I love this book. It doesn't strike everyone the same way, and I know some people didn't like it, and that's completely valid. And I can absolutely see where they came from, but I interpreted it ever so slightly differently, which made me feel okay with it. So yes, these two are my favourites this month. So there we have it. That is all the stats for August, and I can now pop these away and move on to September. What were your favourite reads in August? How did your month go in general? Did you read anything that you were really surprised by? Let me know down in the comments. You know I love a chat. And happy reading, everyone.